Looking at this face, these eyes, and the tattoos all over his body, you can probably guess who he is. That's right, he is Michael, the main actor in the classic American film Prison Break. The story begins when Michael is getting a tattoo. The tattoo artist is very surprised. Why are the tattoos so simple yet he has to get so many? She really likes these tattoos, so she tries to admire them a little longer because if she leaves she won't be able to see such a work of art again in her lifetime. After saying thank you, she hurriedly goes home. Michael tears down the newspapers on the wall which contain news about his brother and other people he doesn't know. Next he takes some hard drives and goes out to the hallway to throw them into the lake. It seems like he is hiding something and doesn't want anyone to find out. The next day Michael goes to the bank. Without much conversation he points a gun directly at the employee there and demands that she open the safe. She tells him that he has already taken $100,000 so the police will arrive soon. Feeling impatient, Michael fires his gun to force her to open the safe. Just after he says this, a police helicopter arrives outside. Therefore Michael puts down his gun and surrenders obediently, crossing his arms to be handcuffed. At the trial Michael admits to his crime. The judge states that he has never encountered a case like his in all these years. The lawyer argues that her client has some mental issues and wants to end the trial. But Michael insists that he knows exactly what he is doing and doesn't need her to defend him. As a result, Michael is sentenced to 5 years in prison. He requests to be incarcerated in a prison close to his home. The judge, seeing that he is compliant, agrees to this request. The lawyer points out that this is a very strict prison, but the judge reminds her not to interrupt. The outcome of this trial will take effect immediately. This prison is the most secure in the United States, Fox River State Penitentiary. Why does he want to be incarcerated here? On the first day in prison, Michael met the prison captain. He noticed that Michael spoke very naturally and showed no fear, which displeased him greatly. He warned Michael to behave and do his work. Michael was placed with another inmate named Sucre. When Michael arrived at the prison, he witnessed a fellow inmate being stabbed while others cheered and clapped. His roommate said, "Welcome to the fun prison." This made Michael feel very tense. During free time on the first day, Sucre introduced Michael to the various powers within the prison. Michael particularly noticed an old man holding a cat in the distance. Sucre told him that 30 years ago this man had robbed $1 million. Unfortunately, he broke his leg while parachuting, which led to his capture. But no one knows where that money is now. It turned out that before entering prison, Michael had done some research on this man. It seemed he was very well prepared. Then Sucre introduced him to a person who could help everyone buy anything. But it seemed that Michael wasn't paying attention to Sucre's words. He just wanted to carefully observe the terrain here. Michael noticed the golden column over there and the drain at his feet. Seizing the opportunity, he stuffed some newspaper into the drain and turned to ask Sucre about someone named Lincoln. After hearing Sucre tell him that this person was best left alone because he had killed the vice president's brother and would be executed next month, Michael should avoid him as much as possible. Upon hearing this, Michael asked if there was any way to approach him. Sucre replied that the only opportunities to get close were during prayer and work, but the authority to assign those tasks lay with that man. Sucre was very curious as to why Michael wanted to get close to that person so much. Michael said, "Because he is my brother." Sucre was surprised at that. Afterward, Michael returned to his cell fiddling with a piece of paper while recalling his previous encounter with his brother. "Michael, you didn't kill that guy," he said. "Swear to me." "I swear, Michael." The next day, taking advantage of free time, Michael sought out the man in charge and said, "I want to work in the prison workshop." He then left behind a paper crane, telling John to think it over. "I can help you with a big problem." Upon hearing this, John immediately dismissed Michael and threw the paper crane away. Michael went to the prison hospital again. The doctor was a young girl. Seizing the opportunity, Michael struck up a conversation with her. They introduced themselves and it turned out they shared the same last name. She was the daughter of the warden. While the doctor was out, Michael quickly tossed a paper crane into the drain. As the office door opened, a man entered and said, "The execution of Lincoln is all set. We just need the warden's approval." The two of them had a good relationship and were classmates. From this conversation, it seemed that someone wanted Lincoln to die a bit sooner. It appeared that many secrets were still hidden. During prayer, Michael met Lincoln and told him about his purpose for being there, saying he wanted to help Lincoln escape. Lincoln, after hearing this, advised Michael that this was an impossible task. Michael quickly responded that anything could happen. At that moment, an announcement came that the chief bishop wanted to see him. Sucre warned Michael to be careful in his conversation because the chief bishop had never sought to meet anyone before. Michael went to his office. He said, "I've reviewed your documents and know you're an architect. Now I'd like to ask you for a favor. In return you can come here to work 3 days a week." He then took Michael to another room saying that his wife really liked the design and wanted Michael to help complete it before their 40th wedding anniversary as a gift. The basic model was already done, but the empty columns seemed to have some issues that he wanted Michael to help finish. However, after thinking it over, Michael declined. Upon hearing this, the man raised his voice saying, "Others are eager to do this and you refuse? How can that be?" After saying this, he angrily ordered someone to take Michael back to his cell. Later these two men reappeared, revealing that they were FBI agents. While listening to them speak, it became clear that the cult leader opposed the execution of the victim. The two men showed great impatience and threatened him not to interfere. The cult leader was very brave and showed no fear of them. That night, while the cult leader was sleeping, he woke up to find the agents had come for him, preparing to shoot him in the head. The gang leader in prison received a phone call stating that the accused had found the person who framed him in prison. In the letter, a paper crane was left behind which he knew was made by Michael. Taking advantage of free time, Michael went to the drain where he had previously discarded the crane and saw the crane he had thrown away in the medical room there as well. This indicated that the drains of these two places were connected. The gang leader approached Michael and immediately asked about the news of the traitor. He demanded to be allowed to work in the workshop before he would talk. The gang leader was already very impatient. At this point, Michael wanted to make demands of him, so he told his subordinate to beat Michael. At this moment, the guard fired shots to suppress them. Michael was then summoned to the warden's office where he wanted to impose a 90-day lockdown on him. Michael looked at the calendar on the desk. If he waited until the end of his lockdown, there would only be 30 days left until his brother's execution. That would mean everything would be in vain, so Michael had no choice but to agree to help the warden fix the birthday gift model. Only then did the warden agree to lift the lockdown. After that, Michael returned to his cell. The guard brought him a work permit for the workshop. Michael could now meet his brother. When Lincoln saw Michael, he immediately asked about the escape plan. Michael said that getting out was just the first step, glancing at the cat caretaker. He explained the entire escape plan to Lincoln and assured him that he had prepared everything well and had researched the people he could leverage. Then Lincoln asked about the fence surrounding the prison. Michael pointed out the secret of the tattoos on his body. In the previous episode, it was mentioned that Michael had intentionally gotten himself imprisoned and had drawn the prison layout on his skin, wanting to rescue his brother before the execution. He knew the plan would not go smoothly, but he didn't expect trouble to come so quickly. Just as he was enjoying the breeze, Michael was playing chess with Westmoreland. He praised Michael's moves, saying he could be a future strategist. Michael impliedly asked Westmoreland, "Do you miss home? Do you want to escape?" Westmoreland replied, "Every day I want to get out of here, but I still have 60 years left on my sentence. In this lifetime, escaping is impossible." At that moment, Michael boldly said to Westmoreland, "I'm planning a way to escape from here." Westmoreland then told him, "Who do you think you are wanting to leave after just one day? Do you think this is home? You want to go, but if you're here you might as well settle in. You'll get used to it." It seemed that not only Lincoln but also Michael's brother did not support his escape plan. Even Westmoreland laughed at how arrogant he was. Westmoreland continued, saying the next battle he needed to think about was not how to escape but how to avoid trouble. Michael turned to look at the inmates in the yard who were eager to stick their heads out. It seemed that it was very difficult for the prisoners to unite. Westmoreland said that everyone wanted to win, just like cats that couldn't be locked up with dogs because they were born to be rivals. Returning to the dorm, Sucre was doing push-ups. Michael took a mirror to see the drawings on his arm, then took a pen to write a few words and numbers on paper. At that moment, the prison guard unexpectedly burst in for a check. Sucre told Michael to quickly hide his stuff, reminding him that there was a knife for self-defense under the table. Michael sluggishly failed to hide the knife in time and turned around to be caught by Warden Bellick. Bellick, who was always looking to cause trouble for Michael, had now found a legitimate reason. Just then the chief warden stepped up from behind holding the knife and asking Michael about it. Michael didn't dare say anything and the chief warden had Sucre locked up. Bellick, witnessing the chief warden's favoritism towards Michael, felt jealous and harbored even more resentment towards him. He warned Michael that the chief warden could only manage during the day, while at night the warden was the one in charge. That week Michael and Lincoln encountered each other again. Lincoln asked Michael about the next plan. Michael revealed that the infirmary was the most loosely guarded place and was crucial for escaping, so he had to pretend to have diabetes. This way he could frequently visit the infirmary to prepare. After hearing this, Lincoln opposed Michael's plan, arguing that it involved many people and was likely to lead to problems. Furthermore, those people were quite cunning and not easy to trust. During this time, Michael often sought out the seat in the stands, using his hands to search for the long screw on the chair. It turned out that before entering prison Michael had conducted an investigation. He had written a series of numbers on a prison map. 11121147. Michael had to find the screw that matched this pattern. So he casually sat down on the chair and took out a coin. While preparing to turn the screw, a fellow inmate next to him reminded him that he was sitting in the wrong spot. Just as he finished speaking, the rightful occupant of that seat appeared. He was Bagwell, a notorious figure accompanied by a white guy who was following him. He stepped forward and signaled to Michael that he could continue sitting in his seat and complimented Michael on his handsome appearance. He asked Michael if he was looking for help to avoid getting hurt in this black and white battle. It seemed Bagwell's persuasive skills were not exaggerated. He explained the dangers of escaping while trying to convince Michael. But Michael firmly refused. Bagwell, angry after hearing this, ordered Michael to leave. Not wanting to cause trouble, Michael gave up. There was only half of the screw left to turn before it was done. On the second day, while enjoying the breeze, Michael continued to turn the screw. This time his movements were quicker. But just as he got the screw loose, Bagwell walked over to him. Michael had to hand the screw over to him. Losing this crucial piece put Michael in a difficult situation, so he turned to John. But John wasn't interested in this. He only wanted to know who wanted to harm him. Michael said that going outside was the real reason. John thought he had been tricked, so he angrily walked away. In another situation, the betraying mobster John appeared to pressure him. It turned out that this traitor continuously made things difficult for John, causing discomfort for those on the outside. He used John's daughter as leverage to force him to quickly find an answer. After saying this, he left. At this time, a riot broke out in the prison with inmates preparing weapons for themselves. Michael ignored this and ran to Bagwell's cell to find the screw. Unfortunately, he was caught by Bagwell on his way back. Michael had no choice but to lie, agreeing to join the team and use the screw as a weapon. Indeed, Bagwell wasn't that foolish. He handed Michael a wooden stick. This scene was witnessed by Michael's drug dealer. By the second day, the merchant reported to Michael that he had found the drugs, then instructed a group of people to hold Michael back. He warned Michael that he had chosen the wrong teammates and should not expect to get the drugs. Michael tried to explain, but it was useless. This medicine was the only way for him to disguise having diabetes. Without this medicine, he couldn't enter the infirmary to prepare for the escape plan. Just as he retrieved the screw, he lost the medicine again, putting Michael in a difficult situation once more. It was time for some fresh air again. This period was anything but peaceful. The storm of the prison had finally arrived. The warden released all the inmates and they immediately engaged in a massive brawl. Before Michael could react, he was spotted by Bagwell and his group, who charged at him. Faced with such a situation, Michael could only fight back and reclaim the screw from one of his group members. At this moment, a merchant from the upper level also saw the scene. That member of the group was unwilling to concede defeat and attacked Michael again. At that moment, he was stopped by a black inmate who stabbed him in the chest, causing him to fall into Michael's arms. Bagwell, witnessing this, cried out in anguish, "I won't forgive Michael." Michael felt even more wronged. FBI agents and the warden were on the phone. The woman on the other end was cooking at home and taking care of her child. However, given the context of the call, this woman's identity was not simple. The agent informed her that Lincoln's girlfriend wanted Lincoln to be cleared of any wrongdoing and had been investigating the matter. This woman asked the FBI to handle the situation for her. Because the prisoners were extremely angry over the violent uprising, they decided to lock all the inmates up again. Michael returned from the chaos while Bagwell in another cell continuously mocked him. Michael sharpened the screw into a six-pointed screw that matched the drawing of the screw on his arm. He removed the screw from the bleachers. The confinement time was over and it was time for fresh air again. The merchant found Michael and said he had misunderstood him in the past and proactively offered him tea. Michael went to the infirmary for this trial, where the new equipment provided results in just a few seconds. Michael worried that the effects might not manifest in such a short time. The test results were in. Michael indeed needed regular medical treatment. Everything was going according to plan. Michael was led to the gym by Captain Bellick. John and his subordinates were waiting for Michael there. They restrained Michael and threatened to cut off his leg unless he revealed the name of the traitor. Michael was determined. At that moment, he couldn't say anything because speaking up would lead to certain death. But if he didn't say anything, they would still cut off his leg. With so many people offended in one day, Michael felt overwhelmed and needed to figure out what to do. This ends the second installment. The next one will be even more intense.